Hi there, everyone. Hopefully you have gotten all of your supplies in the mail or went shopping for them. Hopefully you just pushed the Blick U link and had it all come in. I thought I'd take just a second to go over all of it. So in the kit, you got a pack of brushes. In here we have some synthetic bristles, some natural bristles, different kinds. We have rounds, we have flats, we have brights, all kinds of different things, but I can explain these later. So you're going to want to get those out. If you have a little cup or a jar to put them in just to keep them organized, that would be good. There came a couple foam brushes and a chip brush, so you can put those in a jar. And then there's these synthetics, which these two brushes are my favorite, these flat synthetics. And then there's a couple smaller ones, so we can talk about those in a bit. Those are pretty cheap brushes. These aren't super high-end here either, but these you'll notice have the longer handle. You have some filberts, a flat, rounds, and so forth, different sizes, longer. I can explain what those are about. And then you got a kit of palette knives. So we'll use the palette knives for mixing the paint in our palette, but then you can also paint with them, and they have different shapes and angles to them, so that you can paint with them just like you have the different shapes and sizes of the brushes. So we'll get to those in a little bit. You got some canvas pad paper. So it says real canvas, triple primed with acrylic gesso, suitable for any medium. And there's 10 sheets, 9 by 12. Gesso, I did not have in your kit because everything that I had you guys purchase was pre-primed. But the idea here is that if you're painting with oil paint, it's a natural material. Raw canvas or raw paper is a natural material. If you put those two natural things together, they'll eat themselves and fall apart. So we need this gesso in between, which is like a white sealer paint. So you've got your canvas paper. We have this Masterson Stay Wet palette that is very challenging to open, which is great. That is good for the cause. And it has some instructions inside of it that you might want to look at, where it talks about putting a little bit of petroleum jelly in the groove here to help the seal and to make it easier to take on and off. Inside this palette box, you will put this Dick Blick palette paper that I got, but you'll do it one sheet at a time. So we'll get to that. And in the kit, it shows you this. If you're interested in this, they cost a little more. You could consider getting one of these glass palettes to set inside of it. We're gonna go disposable for now. Okay, so there's that. And then you have your paint. So this paint came in a kit like this inside of this box. So this is a painting surface, a wood painting surface that you can use later in the semester. And you have primaries and secondaries here. And then you have an ivory black, a titanium white, and then this solvent-free gel, which I want you to put aside to put in a different place. So this was the required, but I had also put on a recommended a few other colors, which you don't need, but I'll talk about like the difference between why you might want a Prussian blue versus an ultramarine blue when we start painting, or why you might want a cadmium red light versus an alizarin crimson versus a magenta, or the phthalo green versus the chromium oxide green. So we'll discuss, but these are not necessary. These were just some extras. There's a transparent white, which we will talk about how that varies from the titanium white and how that can make your colors brighter with the see-through one. Okay, so we'll get to these later. So this is the painting surface. So it's just kind of neat that it came with it. So we can use this at a later date. And then we have our mediums. So we have a Terpenoid Natural. This is what we're going to thin the paint with a little bit and what we're going to clean our brushes with. We have a linseed oil, which is the material that's inside the paint. So oil paint is pigment and linseed oil. Some other brands have different binders in them, walnut oils, sunflower oils, and so forth, but the traditional is linseed oil. So this is what we're going to use to make the paint thinner and move across our picture plane. We have this solvent-free fluid, which is also there to help the paint move across the surface and thin it out, but also makes it dry faster. And then this is kind of the same thing as this, but this is a gel, solvent-free gel, and this is a fluid. So this one, you'll see it looks kind of like jelly, and we can talk about how those will work. We also have 4 little jars with lids. And what we're going to use these for is to pour a little bit of these in each one. I have a marker because I'm going to write on the top of the jars what they are because they're about to look like very similar amber liquids. And these are going to be like the tiniest amount of fluid put into them so that it's per session. And then we can clean these out with a paper towel or newspaper or something at the end of the session so they don't get too mucky. We also have this silicoil cleaner jar, and this is what we'll wash our brushes out with before we take them to the sink. And I'll teach you how to wash brushes. So what we want to do with that is we will take our Terpenoid Natural. Everything in your studio is non-toxic. This is the only one that's going to kind of smell a little bit like citrus cleaner. Typically, if we weren't going non-toxic, we would be using mineral spirits of some sort, like a turpentine or a terpenoid. But these are all pretty safe to use in your house. So what I want us to do with this, because this is what we're going to use to thin paint and to clean brushes, this little coil comes up and down. We're going to fill it just to below the coil because I want to have enough of this left over to get me through the semester. Put the lid back on. These childproof lids can be fussy. I want you to get in the habit, though, of always covering these because they do have a smell, even though they're not bad for you, but you just can cover them up and then you don't have to worry about it. And then if you do ever use the traditional oil painting materials that are more toxic, you're in the habit of covering them up. So I'm going to write on this lid, solvent-free fluid. I'm going to write that it's Gamblin, just so I remember. This one, I'll do the Terp Natural. And this, I'll do linseed oil. And this one, I'm going to do the solvent-free gel. Okay. And the only other thing that should be in your kit was a bag of rags. They're pretty big, so you might want to cut them in half or in quarters. I actually think this is still a little too big, so I think I'm going to cut this down again. I might cut this one in half. And these are going to be really important so we don't make muddy paintings. Okay, so that is our set of materials. I'm going to just really quickly show you how much to put in these one-use jars. And then I'll do a new video in a minute. So just a tiny bit. maybe like the width of 2 or 3/4, 2/4. I don't know if you can see that. It's not very much, just a little. So you would imagine that that would be for one painting session, and then you can fill it along through the painting session if you need more, but then you're not wasting it and you're not contaminating it with a yucky brush. Put the lid on that. Okay, I'll stop the video. I'm gonna do the same with these other materials, and then I'll meet you back once you have your studio all set up. A little bit of that. Well, I'll just finish it out. Oh, and you'll notice too that I have a paper drop cloth down. I would put something down like a plastic tablecloth or some kind of removable surface because it can get a little messy. Oh, and there are 2 other things that came in your kit. You also got these 16 by 20 painting surfaces. So we'll get to these later. We're going to work mostly on the canvas paper for now, but you have 2 of these, which is 4 total. That's our kind of main painting surfaces. And the other thing that should have come in your box, and it's not necessary, you didn't pay for it, but is a piece of brown cardboard. I would save that, and we can use this as a backdrop as well to tape our canvas paper to. So we'll want to use that. So this is our linseed oil. So this is like cooking oil, kind of. You don't really want to eat it like cooking oil, but more or less the same thing. And then the solvent-free gel, we can really put the solvent-free gel on our palette, but we can put a little bit in here. Just a little goes a long way, just to get us started. Just a little dollop. Okay, all right. Let me know in the discussions if you have any questions, or shoot me an email. Get yourself set up like this, open all your things, and then we'll meet back up and we will do some test paintings to get used to the materials. Okay, see you soon.